Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio. Discover your spiritual gifts live.
Welcome to Discover Your Spiritual Gifts show number 51. We're your hosts, Dave and
Vialet.
Our guest today is Nicole Piar. Nicole Piar blends art, writing, and channeling into magical, intuitive tools that help you enchant your everyday, open up your line of communication with spirit, feel more free, and fill your heart with love and compassion. She is the creator of the Spirit Cats Oracle deck and the Cosmic Allies Altar art deck and book. She also makes soul prints, which are intuitive paintings of the inner you, and paints kitty commissions. She teaches Vision Seeker, a free 13-day guided quest using tarot and oracle cards, journaling, oracle exercises, and guided meditation. She is currently working on the Witch Cats Oracle deck. Welcome, Nicole. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm delighted to be here and talk to you both.
Well, you do so many things. What's been your path? Did you start out in your early years? Did you find it recently? How did you get to where you are?
Yeah, so I would say in some ways I started out really, really young in terms of having spiritual experiences or psychic experiences when I was just a little child, and the art as well. I was always attracted to creativity and painting and drawing and writing. And so those two things sort of began. I feel like I was just like born with those as part of my being. And as I got older, I didn't really think that they were going to all come together into what became my business and my career. The spiritual path was more a personal path. It was more something that I used for myself. And the art and illustration was something that I used. I went to school for, and I had a career in illustration before I became more of an independent artist. And the writing was something I actually, when I was little, I thought was going to be my perfect, like I thought I would be a novelist, or I loved reading and I loved storytelling. And so it's interesting as I got older, how they kind of, all of those parallel paths sort of found their way to weave together and really find their expression in creating oracle decks that weaves together that writing, the intuitive channeling, and the painting and the art. So it's been this is a journey. And I think there was definitely a moment in my early 20s where I was very spiritual in my childhood. And then through like learning about scientific method, I kind of became more questioning and more atheist in my teen years, but I was still having a lot of like psychic experiences. And so it was became kind of like a disconnect. And when I was in college, it was very intellectual, very mind-based. And so there was this kind of schism that was happening for me because I didn't have this like spiritual foundation to lean on and spiritual tools. And so it culminated in a crisis, I would say, like a mental health crisis for me at that point. And that's what really guided me back to kind of fully just dive in. Like it was kind of this crux moment where I felt like I couldn't go on the way that I was. And I just was reaching for something to bring some more clarity to my mind and kind of bring myself back into my body. And so I started yoga and Tai Chi. And that was my kind of first introduction to the embodiment aspect. And that really helped to balance. And that sort of opened the doorway to what became, it went from there to a lot of other things as the years went on. But that's really where it started. And it came from a moment of where I really needed it in order to bring balance and harmony back into my health. So yeah, that was a kind of a crucial moment for me. And then from there, I went on to work with nature spirits and do intuitive channeling. And then later work with magic, working with planetary magic and ritual. So it kind of all sort of came together, and my art and my spiritual path began to merge. And the first moment of them really merging was with my soul prints, where I channel an image of someone's inner self. So I go into a meditative trance state and then receive a vision of their inner self and then translate into that painting. And the idea is that it's a reflection that the person can look at, almost like a mirror that shows them their true expansive inner beauty and their uniqueness. And it's a healing tool to kind of help, heal the inner critic and heal self-doubt and really connect them to their most magical self. So that was the first moment where I really was like, okay, these two aspects are coming together for me. So that's been some key points along the very winding, meandering path that I've had.
Well, tell us a little bit more about the soul prints. I know of other people doing that. How does the information and the image come to you, and what other do you channel either an entity or their higher self or somebody for the information to explain it?
Yeah, so before I started doing soul prints, I had been doing, for a long time, I've been doing a kind of channeling that I learned through the author Michelle Small Wright. So it mixes working with nature spirits or devas with working with your guides and teachers and then your higher self. So you kind of create this structure of those. And so that's the kind of channeling I was working with for a long time before. And usually when I do a soul print, I ask their permission to connect to their higher self. And I don't usually bring in their guides and teachers for that. I just connect to their higher self because I'm really channeling a vision of that aspect, their sort of most magical inner being. And then I will have them, either I'll talk to them or I'll have them answer questions in writing, whichever feels more appealing to them. And that's sort of where I kind of just like make contact with them. It's like this place where they can share, and it's also a place, I guide them into creating sacred space for themselves, and it helps them to get in touch too with their inner being. So it has this twofold, like it's introducing me to them and their inner self, but it's also getting them into that state so that they're they're already beginning to see some of their beauty and uniqueness. And then I read that over, after talking to them, and I set it aside, and I don't really necessarily cling to anything in that. I just use that as a way of like connecting with them. And sometimes things from it will come through and sometimes it'll be different. It's usually a mix. And then I'll go into a meditation and I'll really just get into a state where I'm very open and receptive. It's very similar to a channeling state. And then I'll ask that their inner self reveal themselves to me in the way that they want to be seen. And an image will come to me. And sometimes if the person makes a request that they want it, they can request that they want it to be in human form, or they can say that they specifically don't want it to be in human form, or they can say that they're open to whatever comes through. They're just like curious what will happen. And so it's taken different forms, the image. And I'll just feel like a really strong energy, and I'll see a vision of the aspects of it. And then I'll kind of sit with it, and I'll sit with the vision and like try to get more clear on like what the colors are. Like, are there any like animals or creatures like in the space? Like the little details I'll try to like become more and more open to and more clear. And then once that's pretty clear in my mind, I'll close the channeling meditation, and then I'll get to work actually translating that into an image, doing a bunch of drawings, trying to like capture. And so I'm trying to capture the actual vision, but I'm also trying to capture, usually there's a specific feeling that will come through too, that's unique to each person. Like I can just feel it in my body, in my heart. their energy. And so I'm also trying to capture that feeling and express that as well in it. So it's not just what actually, the elements of the actual visual painting, but it's also that feeling, that essence that I want to express. So I always go back to that and, reconnect to it. Am I getting that? Is that really coming through? And then I'll write them a letter with any messages that came through and send them the painting and the little letter.
Now, do the people, if they have health conditions, do they find that they get healing out of this process?
I've never really asked that, because it's not necessarily meant to be like a physical healing. Maybe it does, but I've never really asked that of them. I found that people, their response is that it's very, it's like being really seen. It's that feeling of like their truest self being seen and brought to light. And I think there's like a deep feeling of connection that comes from that. And so I think that's very healing. And having this painting is this constant reminder of that, and helping them to step into that part of themselves and see themselves as that. So yeah, usually people really love it. And it's funny too, when people, like their family members see it, and like one of the women that I did it for, her mother saw it, was just like, oh my God, that's exactly you. Like, that's exactly who you are since you were a baby. So there's this recognition that happens. So yeah, they're really fun to do. And it's so unique to the person. It's just so, each painting is completely different from the next. And it's an interesting form of collaboration for me. And connection is one of my biggest values, is really connecting my inner world with someone else's inner world and creating that bridge. So it really falls into that as well.
Well, tell us about cats. You have a fascination with cats.
I do. Yeah. So I have my Spirit Cats Oracle deck. And so yes, my first best friend was a cat when I was really little. My mom got this rescued a kitten before I was born, a little orange and white striped cat, and he would like lay on her belly while she was still pregnant with me and just like purr. And then from the moment I was born, all through my childhood, we were just really close. I lived in the forest in New Hampshire, and I would follow him through the woods, and he would show me little like sun patches on hidden rocks, and we'd go sit there. And I mean, I would never direct it because he's a cat, but I would love like following him. And I felt like he was my like guide into these kind of like mystical places in nature. And I think I always felt a little bit of an outsider growing up, and somehow I felt a deep resonance with my cat. So there was like, I felt like there was a nonverbal connection that I really felt we were bonded. And then after he lived long, and he passed away when I was a teenager. I actually never had a cat again after that for a really long time. And when I was a few years back, I was doing a lot of illustration work for clients, and which was great, but I was feeling like a desire at the time to just be more free, like not have to paint something specific or follow a specific brief from an art director. I just wanted intuitive, free form, like exploration. And so I started doing, even after a day of doing client work, I would do at least 10 minutes a day of just free form painting, where I would just sit with my watercolors and just see what would like emerge. And sometimes I would only have energy to paint for 10 minutes, and then other times it would really unfold and more would come out. And in that process, these magical cats started to appear. And I hadn't actually, even though I loved cats and I had this close relationship with my cat growing up, I actually had never really painted cats. It just never occurred to me for whatever reason. And they just started appearing in this organic painting sessions. And I became really curious about them. Like my best friend was like, there's something here, like there's something special in these cats. You should, explore this further, like go deeper with this. And So I did a 30-day project where every day I painted a cat. So it was my month of cats, and people sent me pictures of cats online, and I shared the cats like in my blog and on my newsletter. And the interest at the beginning, I remember the first day I was like, how am I going to come up with like 30 different like, I was just like, I'm going to run out of cat ideas. Like, this seems like a lot of cats, like every day, just like another cat. Mm-hmm. But the more that I went into it, the more it became kind of this, like the world itself became more and more expensive. The more I gave energy to it, the more that it grew. And it felt like I would just enter the space and a cat would kind of come wandering through, and it would show up in my painting, and it would introduce itself to me, have a name, and it would have a specific energy. And since I was writing them in my newsletter and my blog, I would share the name and a little bit of the message from the cat. And after that was done, about 2 weeks after I finished that project, a real cat showed up on my door. Stop. And was like, needed to be rescued, needed a home. And so, yeah, I ended up with a real cat after painting 30 days of cats, and she was the perfect healing presence for me at the time. So now she's in the deck. She's the synchronicity cat, because she did just appear just when I needed her most, and also after 30 days of painting. I'm not sure if you can paint anything for 30 days and definitely have it appear on your doorstep, but it did work with the cat. And it was actually a bit later that I realized that this was already starting to be an oracle deck. I didn't set out with the intention to make one, but it kind of organically emerged, and it was already having that form. And so then I decided to really commit to that and focus on it and take it further, and expand on the writing and bring in more cats. And I mean, since then I painted, it's like there's a never ending supply of these magical cats that want to come through, it seems. And so I do paint the kitty commissions, and I have a new cat deck called the Witch Cats that's going to come out later this year. So yeah, there's always more of them, it seems.
Well, that's your third deck, right? The Witch's Cat deck is your third, because you have Spirit Cats, Cosmic Cats, right?
Yeah, well, Cosmic Allies is the second
Cosmic Allies.
Yes.
And then your Witch's Cat.
Mm-hmm.
So what have the cats meant to you? Because it sounds like they come with meaning for you in your life, right?
Yeah. I definitely think I resonate with cats overall. I think a lot of magical people, I mean, they've been associated with witches for a long time, and I think there is something about their energy. It does feel like I get the feeling that they're connected to something beyond what is seen. I remember even when I was little, I wrote a poem when I was like in third grade called like Through the Cat's Eyes, and it was this whole different world that the cat was experiencing, that's like mystical world. And so I feel like there's a connection there. I think there's a connection with that they really enjoy their solitude, and they have these like contemplative moments in solitude, and whether it's like sitting in the sun and really embodied, I love that energy of a cat of like, they're really in their moment when they're in a stretch, and they're just like absorbing the sun. They're kind of selective with the people that they open up to, because I think they're really sensitive to a lot of different energies. I noticed my cat, she's like, if people come into the house, she is not that interested in them, is kind of scared of them, especially if it's like someone with a really sort of all over the place energy, or really like big, loud energy. But at the same time, she'll just like hide away and like not be a part of it. But if I have, in the past, I would have meditation circles or like clothing swaps, or we'd be doing like a magic circle, doing a ritual. And even if there was like 13 of us there for that, in that space, she would come out and she would go around the circle or meditating. She would like, come up to everyone. So it's like when people were in that space, she was really drawn to it. She always wanted to be in the center of the circle, which was such in stark contrast when my partner works from home, and then someone from his job would come to like work with them. She's like, I'm out of here. This is too crazy. Like Hollywood people. I don't know. So I think there's something, there's this, I definitely resonate with them. And I do think they're easy to paint in a magical way because they just already have that feeling. So it's easy to embellish that and go with that. And in the Spirit Cat decks, there are cards that are connected to specific sort of cat messages or cat behaviors. Like there's one card that I have that's the Threshold Cat. And it's that moment where you're on a threshold and it's a big, maybe a big transition in your life. And you're not quite ready to walk through. You're sort of like going a little, like tipping your paw forward and then coming back. And you're just like lingering there for a moment. And you're just trusting that when you're ready, you will like walk through to this new beginning, this new world for yourself. And that really was inspired by like cats when they just spend a long time, like, in the door. Do I want to go out yet? Or am I staying in? Do I want to go out yet? Do I stay in? So there's a cuddles cat. And I think that, has to do with getting into your body, and cats are excellent at that. So there's a few of them that are really connected to like some cat behavior as well in the deck.
Awesome.
So are the Cosmic Allies, that's a cat deck also?
The Cosmic Allies is not a cat deck. It does have one cat in it, but what it is it's an exploration of the 7 planetary energies in astrology. So the Moon, Sun, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, Saturn, and came out of ritual magic that I was doing with the planetary energies. So I was working with these archetypes, these, like I like to think of them as both, if you have sort of the one, the everything, and then there are refractions of that energy into each one is its own specific way of perceiving the world, of interacting with the world. Each one has its own energy and own spirit. And I also like to think of it as like a domain that you enter, like you enter the world of Venus or you enter the world of Jupiter. And you can also look at it as like a helper. So you can work with those energies to help you with specific areas. Like Venus is great to help you with love, body acceptance, work with art and creativity, work with attracting admirers and fans for your work. So those are great things to work with Venus on. And so what I did was I worked with each one individually, and each one's associated with a day of the week. And so I'd only work with the one on their specific day of the week. So it was done in a very ritualistic manner. And I would be giving offerings to that and the planetary energy, doing meditations with them. And then I channeled a talisman that would kind of capture the energy of that planetary deity. And the idea is that you could take it and have it on your altar and work with it. And the book has so many different ideas of the ways to communicate with the energy and also to embody it, and how all these different ways that you can work with it. It's like a creative smorgasbord of ideas of how to work with the energy. And the idea is that you can make your own journey using the ideas in the book. So you look through and decide which ones appeal to you, how you decide which cosmic ally you want to work with, and then you can kind of make your own experience with them. So the cards are not like a regular oracle card. They're much bigger than an oracle or tarot card. They're more like an art piece, and they're thicker, so they're like rigid, and they have holographic edges. And so that there's a lot of holographic. So the rainbow is also that symbol of like the refracted white light into the many different expressions. And so it's kind of even someone who's never worked with planetary magic or planetary energies can use this deck. It's like very friendly for people to start out with and just explore. And at the same time, even if someone's advanced and already has a practice of working with this type of magic, they can just incorporate it into their rituals. It gives them a lot of the images of the planetary energies that are out there are much more like they're more classical, like Roman gods and like goddesses and stuff. So it's very like attached to a specific time, a specific look. And these are meant to be, they're not human. They're all like creatures. So I think that they're easier to connect with in a way, because I found a lot of times women would have a hard time connecting with Mars energy because were so stuck on it being this like masculine warrior, and it would be like a block where they would almost see it as like dangerous or scary. And I think the idea is that this helps us reclaim all these different aspects of ourselves. And so having it be something that you can really feel that it's within you, it's a part of you, it's a part of a way to interact with the world. It helps you reclaim some of those things that you might have exiled, because feeling like they're other, they're for someone else, they're not for me, like this is, So I think it helps with that too. And that's what I wanted. I wanted to have talismans to use in my altar, in my space, that felt very alive and of the moment, and not bound to like gender or human identities.
Well, I think on the Mars, all you need to do is just add the Mars candy bar, and then you soften that warrior masculine image.
Yeah.
A little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, just give a little sweetness. Yeah.
A little sweetness. Well, we're going to take a little break here. We're going to have some messages from the store, so stay with us, and we'll return shortly.
Hi, I'm Violet Rain, Master Teacher of the Akashic Records series of classes here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. If you've been interested in the Akashic Records are the life book or the etheric records of everything that we've ever thought, spoken, done, all of our contracts, relationships since we left Source. It is a valuable resource of information that people are able to tap into to get clarity, to get guidance, just to find out why things are the way they are in their life. The Akashic really helps us do that. This is a great series of classes if you're already getting intuitive information, meaning you're either getting visuals or you're hearing things or you just know things or you feel things. This is a great class to step into to amplify the information that you're receiving from a higher level of source versus just your intuition. If you'd like to find out more about my series of classes for the Akashic Records, please check out on our website under classes and look for Akashic Record Certification. I hope to see you in class, or I hope to see you at the center here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.
Well, welcome back to DYSG Live. Our guest today is Nicole Piar, and she has some wonderful oracle decks and truly has a way to combine art with intuition and channeling and writing. So something that you also had in your background is you do a vision seeker guided quest. Tell us what that looks like.
Yeah, so this is a free course that I have that I created, and one of the things, so my Spirit Cat deck, it's something that someone can use. You literally need no experience to use it. Anyone can just pick it up, pick a card, flip it over, read the back, and you'll get inspiration. It will help you connect to your intuition. It's not something that you need to learn, whereas something like tarot might be something you need to study more. So this is very accessible. But at the same time, I wanted to give people both. You can use it with any deck, so you can use it with a tarot deck or any other oracle deck, but I really wanted to give people who were buying my Spirit Cat deck a way to go deeper with the cards and go on a whole journey with them. And so what this does is it takes you through 13 days, and on each day there's a little message or a lesson, and then there may be a guided meditation. There's a few guided meditations, but it's not every day that you get one. There's questions to ask in your journal, and there's a card spread or a card to pick, a question to ask. And you pick, so it gives you a practice that you can use with your oracle cards or tarot cards. And the intention is to find clarity on your current vision. So it's something that you can actually do. I usually do it like at least once a year or sometimes more. Anytime you feel like you're a little bit confused or feeling stagnant, or you want to revitalize your vision or get clear on what that is, get clear on where you want to focus your energy, what you want to create in the world or in your life. And this journey is like you're literally seeking your vision. So it takes you through the whole process to get there, to really feel like, okay, I know, I feel aligned with what my next step is. I have this like vision on the horizon that I'm like moving towards. And I've gone on this journey of self-inquiry using the cards and the meditation practices to really look inside deeply and discover that. So I love using these tools to go on those inner journeys. And so I wanted to craft one for people, which is what Vision Seeker is. And it is free because I like to have something that is a gift for everyone, and that they can immediately just pick up and experiment with on their own. So I have it always running as an ongoing self-guided course. And then sometimes a few times a year, maybe once or twice a year, I'll do it as like a group where we go through it together. So I do it both ways.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I love that.
When's your next group one?
Well, it might be already, the next one is actually starting in February. So I think that by the time this, but it'll probably be doing another one in the fall. So I would look out for like September. I usually do one or two a year. So, but yeah, it's always there too, to like pick up. And then I have a hashtag that goes along with it on Instagram. So if you are going through it when it's self-guided or when we're doing it as a group, either way, if you post anything about it with the hashtag, then I always go and look through those and comment. So there is some like connection, and other people who are going through it will also like go into that hashtag. And so there is a community element, even when it's not being run in the collective container all at the same time. So yeah, there's always the same hashtag that's part of that kind of brings a place to gather and share what we're learning, or even ask questions. And even if someone's taking it not during the group time, I always encourage people, if they have questions, if they're confused about something that they're trying to read in their cards, or if they don't understand something or they don't know where to go from there, I always encourage people to ask questions. And I do have like a recording of a live Q&A too. That's part of it, that all the questions that people have asked. And I've made some YouTube videos as well for some of the beginning questions that people have that I included, where, a lot of times people have questions about reading a card that feels like a negative card in a place that's positive, or vice versa, where that can kind of throw them off. And even just, how do I even draw a card? Simple things like that.
Yeah. Do your cards, do you pay attention to the orientation of them like people do sometimes with tarot, whether it's reversed or normal upright?
In my spirit cats, I really don't do that when I read with them, just because I feel like their message is they're such complete messages. I feel like it's less of an oracle, like where you're using it to predict the future in the way that it's designed. And it's much more like a message that gives you an energy to focus on, something to cultivate, like what is the invitation in the moment, what can you work with. A lot of times I'll pick, not a lot of times, every single day I draw a spirit cut, and I like to leave it out so that I can see it. And I will ask a question like, what energy wants to be my companion for the day? So I think of it as like my kitty companion throughout the day, or, what energy is here for me right now, or what will help me the most today, what will help me in this moment. So I'll just ask a simple question like that and draw one card. So that's a daily practice that I have with my spirit cats. And I love seeing which ones come through. And, and as you work with them more, you have ideas of like what they mean to you, and your personal meanings for them, and that develops over time the more that you work with a deck, where there's the meaning on the card, but then it also what that looks like in your life, like it has its own meaning in your actual life too.
Oh, very good.
Well, I love that. I love the fact that you've trusted yourself. A lot of people, when they're intuitively guided, because you talk about on your website how you used to pretend that you were an orphan and you'd go out and connect in nature to the spirits and just be part of that energy of being. And I'm sure as a young child, you didn't have friends that had the same experiences as you. It's like you created and trusted that. What would you tell people that are getting intuition hits or seeing things that other people don't see? How do you tell your clients or your customers to trust? What recommendations would you make to people, Nicole?
Yeah. So yeah, trust is a huge thing. And I think one of the big recommendations I have is actually experimenting with trusting. So experimenting with things that maybe don't seem as scary first. So if you're getting an intuitive hit on something, even something simple like what food to eat or what clothes to wear for the day, or I feel really drawn to this crystal, I don't know why, just something that doesn't have like a huge consequence in your life, and just experiment with what it feels like to trust that and be open to it. Because what I've found is over time is that the more that I trust, I see all of the magic returning. So even from something simple, later I'll be like, oh my God, that was like a perfect synchronicity that, I trusted that and it worked out in this way. And then you see that and you become more and more confident to trusting in the bigger decisions. Like when I left working as a full-time illustrator at a greeting at a stationery company years ago, that was actually something that I received through channeling for myself. I received the message that it was time to leave. And that was a much bigger decision, but I think I had the faith to trust it because there had been years of like practicing trusting with smaller things that weren't as scary, and just seeing all of the magic that came to me as a result of that. And so then when I was trusting this big thing, it was actually like, I did feel a little bit, there was not like there was zero fear, but it was also very exciting because I was curious what would happen. I knew that I'd never been led astray, and that things don't always, the other thing is things are not linear in that realm. So you might do something thinking that you're going to get a specific outcome, and you think that's exactly what you want. And it might not result in that. That might not happen, but the journey is perfect. And the things that you do get reaching towards that, it takes you to exactly where you really want to go, where you really want to go on a soul level. And so that's even a deeper level of trust of like, this may not look exactly like what my mind thinks it should look like, but there is something unfolding. And as you go through that over time, you really see that it's like, the wisdom in those actions, the wisdom in that path, even if it's meandering and nonlinear, is way beyond what you thought you wanted originally, which I love that. And I've come to a place of like, I call that the wild magic versus like goal oriented, because it's surprising. There's all these delightful surprises along the way. And it's so expansive because it's beyond what you can imagine or think about. And even with my Spirit Cats Oracle deck, when I left that job, I didn't know that was in my field or in my future. And so what I thought I was like leaving to work on was a children's book. And that was really the thing that kind of led me to leave in a way. It was kind of like the breadcrumb along the trail, and I wrote a children's book. I started illustrating, but it never really clicked, but I was picking up all these pieces along the way. And there were a few things like that where I thought I was exploring something. I learned how to paint Renaissance style, like the old masters. And then I was like, no, but all of these tools along the way, everything that I learned was really integral, but it wasn't like, that wasn't the destination. And then when it came to the Spirit Cats Oracle, I realized that was really what it was. It was leading to that coming into my life, because it was really bringing together the writing, the art, the channeling, the spiritual connection, my love of nature and animals, and, just being in that like wild embodied state. And so it was bringing everything together, but I couldn't conceive of that when I left that job. Like I wasn't at a place where I could think about wanting that. So,
That's
just trusting the path.
Yeah, that's a great example because it's really true. We have this exact image in our mind of what we want, where we're going. And when you trust and let go of those images, the universe magically takes you someplace that is usually so much better. And all the little stops along the way don't always make sense in the beginning. But once you get to the end place, you're like, whoa, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Puzzles just fall into place. And it's about trusting and going, okay, I don't know what we're doing, but let's just do this. And I have found many times in my life by doing that, I've come to such a big place that I couldn't even imagined from the beginning. But Spirit's like, okay, you think that, Nicole. That's exactly what you need to think that you're doing. So that we pull you along the way to get you to where you need to be, right? And so it's a beautiful piece. Well, I love your website. You also have like bells, ritual bells on your website, and altar card stands and art. You have some beautiful pieces out there. Pendulums, I was looking at it earlier, that you have created, I'm sure that have been inspired, that people can go and check out. So share with us your website. How do we find you if we're interested in knowing more?
Yeah, so you can find me on NicolePiar.com. And you can also look up spiritcatsdeck.com, and that will actually, they bring you to the same place. So either one of those. And I'm also on Instagram. I post fairly frequently, and that's pretty much the social media that I hang out on. And that is Ghost Kitten Art. So I'm in both of those places, and I have a shop on my website, and there's also the Vision Seeker course, and I have my weekly moon letters that I send out. And I really share, because as I was saying before, connection is such an important value for me. I really share a lot of my personal journey and the revelations and the things that I'm learning and the things that are being revealed to me along my creative path in that. So there's an intimacy to my moon letters and to my newsletter. It's, I feel like there's, people get to know me and they'll respond to what I write as well, and I get to know them. So there's this piece of connection there. And then I also share, in that place, I'll share ritual ideas for how, working with your cards, working with your oracle cards or tarot cards, working with the moon. So there's also things that I'm playing with and that I love and that I want to share as well with people for them to experiment with and test out. And then I also share all of my whenever I have something new, the behind the scenes, the whole process of me making it and where I'm at, and getting in on the early bird pre-sale specials for new things. All of that goes in there too. So yeah, I really, I do love writing, and I really put a lot of energy into those moon letters, and really try to be very open and honest and heartfelt in them. So that's a special place to connect. And it's a little bit more intimate and deeper than what I can do on Instagram, obviously, but Instagram's a great place to see all of my art. I always post every single painting that I do on there.
I love that. Well, we'll definitely connect in. I do have your spirit cats in our store, and I will be reaching out today to try to get the Cosmic Allies and your books and stuff in the store. I would love to carry those in our center so people could stop by and get those. I will also have an open invitation that once COVID is gone, if you ever travel to Denver, we would love to have you at the center doing signings with your cards and your books and your art. We would love to see you. Yeah. You're one of my daughter's favorite people. She has been following you for a long time. She was so excited to get you scheduled on the show, and that is Nikki that contacted you and scheduled you on our shows.
Oh, I love that.
She is a huge fan of yours and wanted to make sure that I had your deck in our store. So even today when I came to the center, she's like, who's the guest today? And I said, it's Nicole. And she goes, oh, awesome. So I'm sure she'll be watching and listening to the show. So I thank you for being part of our show and showing up and connecting with us. We would love to have you at the center. If you ever come to Denver and get out of Los Angeles for a trip, we would love to see you here.
Yeah, I love Colorado, so I'm sure once we're like things are more free, I'll definitely be traveling, and I'd definitely love to do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. So thank you so much. Beautiful. It's a beautiful place. I've definitely gone there quite a few times. So
well, lovely. We would love to have you. And you know, I love hosting people at my house, so it saves them a little bit of money and hotel fees. So we have 2 guest bedrooms, so we're happy to have people come, and we pick them up at the airport and we take them back and try to make their stay be as nice as they can. So we would love to see you. But thank you for spending time with us today.
Of course. It was so good to talk to you both. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. And again, for our listeners, the primary place to find out about Nicole and all her work is her website, Nicole, NICOLE PRPIAR.com. Well, thank you everyone for listening today. Please stay with us for a few messages from some of our practitioners at DYSG. They have valuable information for you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Hi, my name is Heather Nichols. I'm a soul journey coach and the owner of Soulful Essence and Wellbeing. For the past several years, I've been on a quest to fulfill my full purpose of healing my past so I may learn to love myself unconditionally. I want to show others how they can do the same thing for themselves. My journey officially began in 2015. I became a Reiki master teacher to be a conduit of healing for myself and others. And I've always had an interest in hypnosis and self-development. And I finally stepped forward in my passion and found a program that helped me release negative emotions that were keeping me stuck in my past. I became a certified practitioner in this wonderful program and later studied Akashic Records and many other healing modalities. I'm beginning my new class series starting in March, and this class is for people who are ready to release emotional trauma and blocks from their past. This can be from past lives or this life. During this class, we'll explore what impact anger, sadness, fear, hurt, and guilt has in our lives, how we react to people and situations because of our state of mind, why it's important to forgive ourselves and others. Then it's time to release. And we'll use time techniques to release anger and sadness, a guided meditation to release additional negative emotions, and I'll be giving you a workbook so that you can journal about your experiences. The class schedule is from 10 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. on the following days: Saturday, March 14th, Saturday, April 11th, Sunday, May 24th, Saturday, June 13th, Sunday, July 19th, Saturday, August 15th. And you can register at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts, Facebook, Meetup, or Eventbrite, or at Soulful Essence and Wellbeing on Facebook. You can also register on my website at Soulful Essence, the letter N, wellbeing.com/classes. I look forward to seeing you in my class.
I am Deborah Peter. I am a cranial sacral therapist. I had a career in accounting and finance for 20 years and had an opportunity to change pathways and decided to pursue a career in massage therapy because I was fascinated with the body. And that career in massage therapy then led me to cranial sacral therapy. Cranial sacral therapy is a body work modality that works with the nervous system and is beneficial for anything that the nervous system plays a part in. That includes trauma, any tension patterns in the body that are being held by the muscles or the fascia, headaches, chronic pain or any pain that the medical community has not been able to find a reason for. So basically anything that the nervous system has a part in. A session is often generally 60 to 90 minutes long. The person relaxes on a massage table, fully clothed. The session can sometimes involve dialoguing, or the person is just able to go into a deeply relaxed state. The therapist, myself, looks for tension patterns and feels for tension patterns in the body, and looks to help the body release those tension patterns. In this world, we're often in a state of fight or flight, and this work helps bring the body down into more of a rest and digest space, which is really where healing happens, because the body has its own way of healing. And I'm there to support the person in their process of releasing restrictions and tension patterns and emotions that are often held in the body and limiting their ability to fully engage in the world. I'm available Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I have offices in Inglewood as well as Littleton here at Discover Your Spiritual Gifts. If you'd like to schedule an appointment, you can reach me at my website at harmonyridgemassage.com, or you can give me a call at 303-725-5800. I also offer a 20-minute free consultation over the phone if anybody's interested in more information or to find out if craniosacral therapy could help them with anything that they're dealing with. I look forward to working with you.
Hi, this is Dave Barnett, better known as Dave the Mystic. I am a long-term aerospace engineer, but back in 1983, I had some events in my life that forced me to reconsider how reality works. I became involved in healing, channeling, meditation, and developing my psychic gifts. Over the years, I continued to work with these, and I had a wonderful opportunity in 2003 to take 4 years and really delve into all forms of healing, and along the way, other gifts showed up. I am now working at the center full-time, and I'm happy to offer work with past lives, with working with subconscious core beliefs. I do a lot of work with energy and entity clearing, and since I do this always long distance, I can do it all over the world. I also work with karma burning and with soul retrieval and soul splinter return. I'd be happy to work with you. Please feel free to give me a call here at the center, and we can set up an appointment. My direct phone number is 303-902-5323. Thank you and have a great day.
Discover connection, awaken sacredness, become empowered. Join us for our show on Blog Talk Radio.